Hello, my name is Matthew. Um, I just wanted to record this video to, share some experiences with people and try to maybe give some advice to people who are aiming to improve themselves or changing the course of their lives or just changing their daily habits and routines and all that stuff. So this is a general video. I'm just going to run through some points. Also, I'm glad you're here, by the way. And yeah, I'm just gonna talk generally about my own experiences and the things that helped me a lot. The only reason that I'm really doing this is because I have always felt like I want to share my experiences with other people, and I also want to discuss all of these stuff with other people. Like I'm a sucker for discussing self-improvement tips or lifestyle tips, and not in a like a guru influencer way, more like a everyday situation. Like whenever I get an Uber, I always end up talking to my Uber driver about just life, about everything, generally about life, and it's just something that I'm really passionate about. So here we are. I'm going to talk about how much small habits matter and how much they can change your life, your lifestyle, the course of events in your life. I think that was a wasp. I think that we all of course already know that small steps matter and eventually they will get us to where we want. Like we all know that, right? Small habits will eventually lead to bigger habits and like lifelong habits, and that will lead to a change in lifestyle, and that will lead to a change of identity and so on. So it's really important. And I think that when we want to get started with changing the course of our everyday like daily life, or just in general like the actions that we do, because we feel like we need to do something differently, and all that stuff, we kind of aim for a small goal and we set that, or a small project and we set that, and we force ourselves to like get it done in order to be able to then proceed into bigger goals and everything. But it really doesn't necessarily need to be one habit by itself, because we are all the time like building habits takes like 1 month or something, and if you keep doing it, if you have the discipline to do something over and over, it will eventually turn into a habit, and that's great. That's actually true, and that's great. The point, although, is that small steps and small habits don't necessarily need to be the way that you imagine them to be, because when we think about it, we imagine like working out daily, for example, right? But for someone that's just starting out to get a good grip on their life and their actions and decisions, maybe that is not necessarily a good first step, although it is a small habit. And for some people it's easy to start and it's easy to do and it's like whatever. Maybe for someone it's just not that, it's not a good first step. You should really think about it, and you shouldn't like do comparisons or go with the general thing, because all of us are different and all of us have a different set of abilities. So you shouldn't go too hard on yourself. Maybe if a good first step for you, if you want to eventually build the habit of working out daily, for example, is just to stretch on your bed every night before you go to sleep for like 5 minutes every day. Maybe that's a good first step for you. Maybe that's where you should start, because if you pick something that's just too bizarre or very general, like working out daily, then when you fail to do it, you will end up blaming yourself and being like, well, if everyone else is doing it for a first step, and if everybody else is doing it and building a habit throughout 1 month and something like that, then maybe I'm not good enough to do it. Maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe, like, you'll start all of these negative thoughts that will just like sabotage you throughout your way, and it's just not worth your time and attention. So I really suggest you don't do that, and just hear the advice of other people, hence things like this video. But at the end of the day, personalize everything, customize everything to your own needs, to your own abilities, and your own willpower and everything. Like, customize everything for yourself, and don't try to think of yourself as a superhero that can do impossible tasks. First, it's gonna be difficult. First, you'll need every little win that you can get. So you have that sense of happiness, you have that sense of success, you have that sense of accomplishment in you, so you can then continue onwards with all the other things. So yeah, another point that I really want to talk about is when you change yourself, life changes for you. And this is, I personally experienced this, and I have seen other people experience this. I have talked to other people who have experienced this. Right now, wherever you are at your life, wherever you are in your journey, right? What you think of your future and what you're aiming for is not gonna be the same in 5 years' time. Maybe in 1 year's time, maybe in a few months, it's not gonna be the same. For me, of course, it was like this. And like, my values and my beliefs and everything changed along the way as I was going, and it was as if I started to take the steps that I wanted to, and also life started to show me more of all those things and show me more of things related to what I was already doing and the changes I was making. Which is insane, because I personally didn't use any sort of manifestation technique or anything like that. I'm not saying they don't work, it's just that I didn't use them. Yet it was as if life was changing on its own, and everything was affected. Everything around me was affected by what I was doing internally and what I was doing for myself and what I was investing my time on. It was insane. It was, you suddenly get all these new opportunities that wouldn't ordinarily happen, but now they are, and suddenly you get all these chances to talk to people that think the way that you think and behave the way that you do. And don't try to like focus on changing your life, because if you want to do that eventually, you first have to change yourself. Let's be honest. If you don't do anything to change yourself, your life is not gonna change. Like, if you don't do something about yourself, the events that are happening in your life are not gonna change. And it's just, you constantly think that, yeah, I want to change my life. Yeah, I don't want this sort of pattern that's happening in my life to keep happening. And I want to get out of this cycle that it keeps happening. I want to like get out of these awkward situations and everything like that. It's not gonna happen if you don't change yourself. You have to do something internally for it to be affected externally. And when you do it internally, it happens so effortlessly. The outside, the output, the outside events, the everything just happens so effortlessly. You don't, and this is true. Like, some things, of course, will take some energy from you, and you will have to really, they're a bit challenging. But what I mean is that things just start to make sense, and you get out of that like cycle of, oh well, nothing seems to change, and like, no matter what I change outwardly, nothing in my life seems to change and everything. That's because you're internally and personally, you're not doing the stuff that you should be doing. And for each of us, that's different, but investing in yourself is the most important part of it. And changing yourself is eventually what changes your life and everything that comes with it. So yeah, Another point that I want to make is not giving up on the first sight of the unknown. Now, this was something that I struggled heavily with. I cannot stress this enough. It was basically the one thing that was ruining my life, and I'm not joking about this, I'm not exaggerating. It was frustrating to deal with it over and over and over again. It was just, I was so done with it. But what I mean by it is that a lot of us, if not all of us, have experiences where we do something, we're on a specific path, we're on a specific journey, or an adventure. And then suddenly, when we reach the part that we can't predict the outcome and we can't guess what happens next, we start to panic. It's like as if like everything suddenly changes. Our perspective changes in a very negative way, and we start to panic and get worried and anxious and fearful about our future. So because we have no way of guessing that specific future or what might happen, we just give up. We go, I'm out. I can't predict what's gonna happen, so I'd rather just not take the risk and I'm gonna head out. I did this so many times throughout my life. It's insane. And because of it, now I have 100 different set of skills and like abilities that basically could make my future significantly different and bring much hope to myself and others and everything like that. But I gave up because I was scared. I couldn't predict what was the outcome. I couldn't predict what was going to happen. Like, are people going to react positively to this? Am I suddenly going to be put under the spotlight? Am I suddenly going to be humiliated for this? Am I going to be hated for this? Is my life going to become more difficult after this? It's like you start to overthink it, and there's no way of you being able to get out of this like overthinking state because you can't predict it. You can't. There's nothing that you can do about it, and that's exactly it, because it's like technically out of your control what people do and what people say and everything. And so please, 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 whatever you're doing, whether it's for a career or a passion or a skill or connections, relationships, friendships, don't just head out at the first sight of the unknown, because that's just gonna haunt you for the rest of your life, and you're gonna keep thinking about it over and over again, and you're gonna regret it. And there's nothing worse than regretting your decisions and what you've done and everything, you know? So that's my, like, one of my best advices of all time that I give to all of my friends. Don't run away at the sight of unknown, and have a sense of curiosity. When you build a sense of curiosity, it's gonna help. It's really gonna help. And it will make it easier for you to step into the unknown. And I'm gonna get into that, speaking of, on to our next point, which is related to this. Prioritize learning over winning. This is a big one because it's basically a change and a shift in mindset, and a change and shift in the way that you think and react. But prioritizing learning over winning is so important, because when you prioritize winning or succeeding at a certain task, I'm not saying it's bad, by the way, to win or succeed or anything. I'm gonna explain it and you'll understand it in a moment. But when you prioritize winning or succeeding at a certain task or goal or something like that, what happens is that when you fail at it, or when you don't get the outcome that you specifically imagined, you are suddenly going to be, well, all those hours that I spent on doing it was useless, and like wasted my time and wasted my energy and everything. That is such a horrible negative weight on your shoulder. And it happens so often. That's why I say prioritizing winning or succeeding at a certain task is or goal is not really healthy, actually. On the other hand, when you prioritize learning, your mindset is that, okay, I'm gonna do this specific task that's new to me or different to me, or I'm gonna start this new project, I'm gonna do this new thing, and it doesn't matter if I succeed or not. If I succeed, good for me. If I win, good for me. But my goal going into this, is I want to learn. I want to learn something new. I want to gain some new experiences. I want to gain a new perspective. I want to learn how it feels, even. At something as simple as that. I want to learn how it feels to do this specific thing. As simple as that. And when you do that, pretty much everything that you do, no matter how small or how clumsy or whatever, is gonna be a win, because you're learning something, because you're gaining a new experience. And that way, suddenly you're looking at your life and you're looking at your, like, the past events, and you're like, well, I gained experience in this, that. Oh, look at me go. I have won so much. And when you keep winning over and over and over again, and winning in the sense of I'm gaining experiences, I'm gaining more knowledge, I'm learning, right? When you keep doing it over and over and over again, suddenly you feel so much better about yourself. And suddenly you feel like you can trust yourself. You have faith in yourself to do whatever you want to do, and you feel more confident going through life. You feel more confident in your own skin, you feel more confident in yourself, and it makes you happy. And when you're starting out, honestly, and when I say starting out, it can be anything from first day to first week to first year to first decade. It's different for everyone, and depending on what specifically we're talking about. So but when you are starting out, you really need this, like, any sort of extra energy that you can get, extra happiness that you can get, extra fulfillment that you can get. Because that's gonna boost you, and that's gonna help you continue and also start the next new thing, the next other thing, step it up a notch, you know? So that's really important. And next, I want to talk about the cycle of discipline and motivation, which is talked about a lot. And I was reading a book on it, and I really don't remember the name of this book, but it's a famous, like, self improvement book that was talking about the fact that motivation and discipline are not necessarily separate from each other, and they're a cycle of events rather than two different things, like how most people think. And I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't agree more. The days that I feel the most horrible about myself and least motivated to start things or, like, do things that I always do is because nothing is checked off in my to-do list. All the things that I usually ordinarily do, that are like the things that I do daily, I have been doing them for months, years. In that specific day, I haven't done any of them. I haven't had the discipline to do any of them. And because of that, I don't feel motivated to do anything. I don't feel motivated to get out of my bed. I don't feel motivated to suddenly start in middle of the day, because I haven't had the discipline, and that's bugging me. That's, like, messing up with my mind. And it's also the other way around. So discipline and motivation are a cycle. If you build discipline, if you have discipline, it's gonna generate motivation, because you'll notice the fact that you have discipline over something. And this doesn't happen all the time, but more often than not, you realize that, okay, I did this today. Suddenly, after finishing that specific task or that specific thing, you feel motivated to do more because you're like, okay, if I did this thing that I had to do without feeling like it, then I can do so much more. And you get that rush of motivation. You get that sense after you do something and you're disciplined in something. And it's also the other way around. When you get that sudden sense of motivation, it's usually gonna be followed up by discipline. And that's the best way that you can harness all the potential in that motivation, is to follow it up by discipline. Okay, I am motivated to do this and this and this. I'm gonna do all of them. And then I'm gonna also do something that ordinarily I wouldn't be motivated to do. I wouldn't want to do. Or I've been procrastinating this thing. You do this and it's gonna keep going. And it's like, it works like a miracle. It happens over and over and over again. And this is so insane because when you have a good day, you set the intention that next day I'm gonna try my very, very best and hardest to also have a good day. And you do it regardless of like how you feel internally. You like tomorrow you're just like, okay, I did all of that stuff yesterday. I don't feel as good today. I don't feel as motivated today, but I'm just gonna try to duplicate what I did yesterday. I'm just gonna try to repeat all of them because all those stuff that I did yesterday made me feel amazing and made me feel like I had a fulfilled and good day. So I'm gonna try to repeat that today. And when you do it, you end up becoming motivated, inspired, and happy at the end of the day. You're like, okay, I had another good day. Now, the next one. And it keeps going and it repeats one after another after another. Of course, we can't expect to have good days always 24/7 every day of the month and stuff. And that's completely okay. The only important thing is that you don't give up and you keep trying to be the best version of yourself every day. Try to be the best version of yourself every day, and that's how you change your life. There's nothing wrong with being the best version of yourself, no matter how that version looks and no matter how that version is to you, because you're unique and you deserve to embrace your uniqueness. And yeah, just try to go through today being the best version of yourself. And then the next day and the day after that. All right, that was it. Bye, guys. Take care.